On the eve of a new beginning, a simple note threatens to turn everything upside down. When a woman on the brink of marriage receives an anonymous letter with a disturbing warning, she finds herself forced to confront doubts she thought she had already overcome, about the past, about love, and about the pain that never completely disappears. Is it possible to build a new home without erasing the marks of what once was? Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is Linda Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. The afternoon sun danced through the white curtains as Beatrice held Adam's hand for the first time in the hospital. It wasn't how they imagined their first meeting. She, the soft-spoken librarian who loved poetry, admitted with a broken leg after slipping on the library stairs. He, the expressive-browed engineer who had come to return a book about ancient architecture. "I think fate is a terrible driver," joked Beatrice, pointing to the cast on her leg. "It could have found a less painful way to introduce us." Adam smiled, revealing a subtle dimple on the left side. "Can I sign your cast? I promise I won't draw anything embarrassing." That first drawing, a small book with wings, remained as a keepsake for weeks, even when the rest of the cast was covered with signatures. It was something about how Adam saw the world, ordinary places transformed into something magical, that made Beatrice fall in love. It wasn't a movie romance with grand, dramatic gestures. It was made of small moments. Adam arriving with coffee after double shifts at the construction site to pay the bills. Beatrice reading to him as they drove to visit her mother in the countryside. Heated arguments over which ice cream flavour was superior. Strawberry for her, chocolate chip for him. "You squeeze the toothpaste from the middle. It's a clear sign of psychopathy," Beatrice teased. "And you leave bookmarks made from supermarket receipts in every corner of the house," Adam retorted. Life together was not perfect. Finances were sometimes tight, especially after Adam was laid off during the construction sector crisis. Beatrice worked overtime at the library, and Adam took temporary jobs wherever he could find them. They saved for their wedding while sharing a tiny apartment downtown, where the noise from the neighbours made it impossible to sleep on Friday nights. When Beatrice discovered the pregnancy, the positive test shook in her hands. It was not planned, not at that moment. The worry on Adam's face lasted exactly 3 seconds before it turned into the most genuine smile she had ever seen. "We're going to need a bigger place," was the first thing he said. The wedding was simple, in the garden of the library where they met. Beatrice wore a flowing white dress that accommodated her 5-month belly, a crown of wildflowers in her dark hair. Adam cried when she walked towards him. Their photo at the small improvised altar, holding hands and with radiant smiles, would later become Serena's favourite. Serena was born on a spring dawn, small and curious from the very first moment, her attentive eyes observing the new world around her. She had Beatrice's dark hair and Adam's expressive eyebrows. "She's already planning how to rearrange the universe," Adam joked, observing his daughter's focused gaze. Serena's early years were meticulously documented in photo albums and memory boxes. Beatrice kept everything: the first little shoe, locks of hair, scribbled drawings. Adam built shelves for the children's books that multiplied, and together they created a world of stories and adventures for their daughter. Life was progressing, imperfect yet beautiful, until that ordinary autumn Tuesday. Beatrice was 32 years old when she felt the first twinge in her chest while she was arranging books in the children's section of the library. She ignored it, attributing it to fatigue. 3 hours later, the pain radiated down her left arm. "Aortic dissection," the doctor explained later, technical words Adam could barely process. "It's a rupture in the wall of the main artery." Unfortunately, by the time she reached the hospital, it was already too late. A congenital condition that had never been diagnosed. A ticking time bomb no one knew existed. Within hours, Beatrice was gone, leaving behind a devastated husband and a 4-year-old girl who couldn't understand why her mother would not come home. The following days passed in a blur of funeral arrangements, condolence visits, and a pain so deep that Adam could hardly breathe. How to explain to Serena? How to continue living when half of oneself had disappeared? "Daddy, where did Mum keep the colourful socks?" Serena asked on the first morning after the funeral, standing at the bedroom door in her unicorn pyjamas, her hair tousled. "She always puts them in the third drawer, but they're not there." Adam sat on the bed, unshaven, eyes swollen. How to explain the permanence of absence, that the colourful socks would no longer be organised by Beatrice? "Come here, princess," he called, opening his arms. Weeks turned into months of mechanical existence. Adam dragged himself through the routine, waking Serena, making breakfast, taking her to preschool, working remotely as an engineering consultant, picking Serena up, making dinner, giving her a bath, and telling stories without the enthusiasm Beatrice used to put into the different voices. At night, when Serena finally slept, he allowed himself to crumble, crying silently while looking at old photos on his phone. It was Serena who ironically saved him one night when she found him crying, hidden behind the couch. "What's wrong, sweetheart? Why are you crying here alone?" he asked, crouching down next to her. "Why do you cry hidden every night?" Serena replied, her big brown eyes fixed on him. "Grandma said I need to be strong so you won't be sad anymore, but sometimes I also want to cry for Mommy." Something broke and was mended inside Adam at that moment. The painful realization that his 4-year-old daughter was trying to protect him, bearing a burden that shouldn't be hers. "Oh, my love," he said, pulling her into a tight embrace. "You don't need to be strong for me. We can be sad together sometimes, and that's okay. And we can also remember the happy things about Mommy together." That night, instead of crying alone, Adam picked up the photo album and sat with Serena on her bed. Together they laughed at pictures of Beatrice making funny faces, remembered how she sang in the shower, always off-key, and how she made animal-shaped pancakes on Sundays. It was the first step. Small, painful, but a step. 2 years later, Adam was driving through tree-lined streets of a quiet neighbourhood on the outskirts of the city. Houses with well-tended gardens, children riding bicycles on the sidewalks, a park with a lake in the centre of the neighbourhood. A fresh start. "What if no one likes me?" asked Serena from the back seat, now 6 years old, her fingers nervously playing with the strap of her new backpack. "Impossible," Adam replied, looking at her through the rear-view mirror. "You're the coolest person I know. And remember our deal, just 3 weeks. If you really don't like it, we can reassess the situation, maybe look for a new school." The primary school was a brick building with large windows and a colourful playground. Adam watched Serena walk away, her small shoulders tense under the weight of the backpack, her dark hair tied in a braid that he had learned to make by watching tutorials on YouTube. When he returned to pick her up hours later, he found a completely different Serena. Bright eyes, words tumbling out as she talked about her day. "And Teacher Evelyn has a dog named Galileo because he likes to watch the stars. And she said the stars are like the universe's glitter. Isn't it amazing, Daddy? And she let me sit in the front because I'm new, and she said my braid was very pretty, and she showed me some books about dinosaurs that I can borrow." "Seems like Teacher Evelyn was a hit," Adam commented, smiling as he helped Serena fasten her seatbelt. In the following weeks, Professor Evelyn became a constant character in Serena's stories. Evelyn had explained about the phases of the moon. Evelyn knew how to make dinosaur origami. Evelyn had mentioned that she lived near them, also in the new neighbourhood. Adam knew the teacher only by sight, a young woman with curly hair and a gentle smile who waved to parents at the school gate. It was on a sunny autumn Saturday that their paths crossed differently. Adam and Serena were walking through the neighbourhood park, the girl skipping ahead, collecting colourful leaves falling from the trees. "Miss Evelyn!" Serena's excited shout cut through the park's peaceful air. Adam saw a woman sitting on a bench near the lake, a book in her lap, and a golden retriever lying at her feet. Upon hearing her name, she lifted her head, and her face lit up as she recognised Serena running towards her. "Hello, Serena," she replied, closing the book. "What a nice surprise to find you here." Adam approached more slowly, noticing details he hadn't perceived before, like the red-framed glasses perched atop her head, or how her scarf perfectly matched the amber tone of her eyes. "This must be the famous Galileo," said Adam, indicating the dog who was now receiving enthusiastic petting from Serena. "And you must be the famous dad who makes the most beautiful braids in the world," replied Evelyn, standing up and extending her hand. "Serena talks about you a lot." "I hope good things," Adam smiled, feeling an inexplicable warmth rise up his neck. "The best. Apparently you're a superhero disguised as a normal dad." The conversation flowed with surprising ease. They discovered that they lived just 3 blocks apart. Evelyn had moved to the neighborhood in the summer after accepting a position at the elementary school. Amid the topics, moments of silence arose that, strangely, did not seem uncomfortable. They were pauses filled with something indefinable, as they watched Serena run across the grass with Galileo. "She is special," Evelyn commented in one of those moments. "She has incredible sensitivity for a child of her age." Adam nodded, a mix of pride and melancholy in his gaze. Her mother was like that. She could see beauty in the smallest details. "Come on, Serena," Adam eventually called, noticing the time. "Let's allow your teacher to finish the walk with Galileo." As they said their goodbyes, something had changed. A small shift in Adam's universe, like a piece of furniture repositioned in a familiar room, subtle, yet impossible to ignore. In the following days, he began finding excuses to accompany Serena to the classroom door, exchanging a few words with Evelyn. Questions about Galileo, comments about the weather, observations on Serena's progress. Small moments that started to become an expected part of his routine. When Serena fell ill with a severe flu, Adam found himself completely lost among cold compresses, syrups and soups that never turned out as well as they should have. On the second day of school absence, the phone rang. "Mr. Walker, this is Evelyn Matthews, Serena's teacher. The school secretary informed me that she is sick, and I was concerned. Is everything okay?" The genuine concern in her voice warmed something inside Adam. That afternoon, the doorbell rang. When Adam opened the door, he found Evelyn holding a colourful balloon with the words, "Get well soon," and a small teddy bear. "I hope I'm not intruding," she said, suddenly seeming unsure. "I thought of bringing something to cheer up Serena." Adam invited her in, feeling oddly self-conscious about the mess in the room. Toys scattered around, a pile of dishes in the open kitchen sink, and himself wearing an old t-shirt with a faded Rolling Stones print. Serena, upon seeing her favourite teacher, lit up like a little sun, even with a red nose and tired eyes. Evelyn sat at the edge of the bed and read stories to her, using different voices for each character, just as Beatrice used to do. The night wore on, and somehow Evelyn ended up helping to prepare dinner, a vegetable soup far superior to the version Adam had been trying to make, and assisting in putting Serena to sleep. When they finally sat on the small back porch, 2 cups of tea between them, the words began to flow. Adam spoke about Beatrice, about the day he met her, about how she left suddenly, and about his constant fear of not being enough for Serena. "At first I felt like I was drowning," he confessed. "Every little decision seemed huge. What brand of cereal to buy, whether to let her sleep with the light on, how to answer when she asked where exactly in the sky Mommy was." Evelyn listened with genuine attention, offering no easy advice or platitudes of consolation. "You have been doing a good job," she finally said. "Serena is an amazing girl." There was something about the way the soft light from the porch illuminated Evelyn's face, or perhaps the way she had naturally fit into their home and lives that evening, which made Adam say something he hadn't planned. "Would it be too strange if I invited you to dinner? Not this soup, but at a real restaurant?" Evelyn's smile was answer enough. The relationship blossomed naturally, as if following a path already laid out. For Serena, having her favourite teacher become a part of her everyday life felt like magic. Evelyn brought specially selected books for her, taught her small gardening tricks in the backyard, and had infinite patience to answer her constant questions about the universe. Adam rediscovered parts of himself he had forgotten. The man who enjoyed outdoor concerts, who laughed out loud in cinemas, who could spend hours discussing theories about ambiguous movie endings. 1 year later, on an ordinary Tuesday night, while they washed the dinner dishes side by side, Adam asked, "Have you ever thought about marriage?" Evelyn paused, a soapy spoon in her hand. "I'm thinking about it now." The next morning, they told Serena about the engagement. The girl jumped for joy, immediately making plans for when Evelyn wouldn't have to leave anymore. The preparations for the wedding progressed. Evelyn, wanting to include Serena in every step, took her along to try on wedding dresses. "What do you think of this one?" Evelyn asked, twirling in a lace and silk dress. Serena, who had been cheerful and talkative until then, became strangely quiet. Her eyes fixed on Evelyn, then shifted to the floor. "It's beautiful," she murmured, without enthusiasm. That night, Serena was silent during dinner. In the following days, she started avoiding Evelyn, leaving the room when she arrived, responding with monosyllables, no longer wanting help with her homework. Adam tried to talk to his daughter, but Serena would evade the conversation or change the subject. With only 2 weeks left until the wedding, Evelyn found something in her work bag, a folded piece of paper, written with colourful markers in an irregular, childlike handwriting. "Do not marry him, or you will deeply regret it. He is a very bad person." The letter wasn't signed, but the paper decorated with little stars was the same that Serena used for her drawings. With a heavy heart, Evelyn showed the letter to Adam that night, after Serena was asleep. "We need to talk to her," said Adam, the worry evident on his face. "Something is happening, and it's not just a tantrum." The following morning, a Saturday, Adam asked Serena to help him prepare pancakes, a weekend tradition they had kept since Beatrice was alive. "You know, when I was little," Adam began casually as Serena mixed the batter, "my father remarried after my mother left. I was 8 years old and got very angry." Serena continued mixing, but Adam noticed that her movements became slower. "Why?" she finally asked in a low voice. "Because I thought he was forgetting my mother, as if he was throwing away all our memories to start a new life without her." Serena looked up, surprised. "That's exactly how I feel." Adam crouched down to her eye level. "I know, Princess. And you know what else? I was wrong. My father never forgot my mother. He just discovered that his heart had room for more love." "But in the dress store," Serena said, the words rushing out. "When I saw Evelyn in that white dress, I was reminded of the picture in our living room of Mom in her wedding dress. And I thought you were replacing her, like you were erasing her." Adam felt his eyes fill with tears. "No one could ever replace your mother, Serena. She will always be a part of both of us. Loving Evelyn doesn't take away any of the love I felt, and still feel, for your mother." "But what if Evelyn wants us to forget Mom?" Serena asked, a tear rolling down her cheek. "That will never happen," a gentle voice said from the kitchen door. Evelyn entered slowly, her eyes also filled with tears. "Serena, your mother will always be an important part of your life and your father's life. I would never try to take her place or make you forget her." Serena looked at Evelyn for a long moment, then threw herself into her arms in a tight embrace. "Sorry about the letter," she murmured against Evelyn's shoulder. "I don't think Dad is bad." "I know, dear," Evelyn replied, stroking her hair. "You were just protecting your mother's memory, and that's very beautiful." On that day, as the smell of pancakes filled the kitchen and laughter echoed through the house once more, something silent and profound healed between them. Serena understood that love can grow without erasing what came before. And Adam felt that after so much pain, life was finally beginning to bloom again. When they walked together to the altar, Adam, Evelyn and Serena hand in hand, it was not the beginning of something new, but the continuation of a story that, although marked by loss, now found room for hope, affection, and new beginnings. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.